let the good times roll.
In my previous Mafia 4 video, I explained that the next Mafia game has been confirmed to be in development by Hangar 13 Games and 2K Games. I also explained that we can expect to see a teaser trailer sometime this year, and that the game will most likely release in fall 2024 if all things go right. It's been 7 years now since Mafia 3 released, and 3 years since Mafia Definitive Edition released. Mafia 4 is a very anticipated game. We all know that Grand Theft Auto is the flagship game series of Rockstar Games. In contrast, Mafia should be the flagship game series of 2K Games. The Mafia game series has a lot of potential. In my opinion, the Mafia game series has the potential to surpass and dethrone the Grand Theft Auto series. I know what you're thinking. Is MGV smoking crack right now? Is he out of his mind? I know, it sounds crazy since Rockstar Games has way more developers and resources than Hangar 13 Games. But if Grand Theft Auto 6 takes the Saints Row 2022 approach, gamers will look for other crime game alternatives, and this is where Mafia 4 can shine through. Now, in order for the Mafia game series to be successful, gamers as a whole have to be satisfied. The customer is always right. Saints Row 2022 is a great example of this, where Volition completely ignored their fanbase and attempted to cater to a brand new audience. This is why in my previous Mafia 4 video I asked you, Mafia game fans, what you want to see in the next Mafia game. What features do you want to see that weren't included in the other Mafia games? Well, in this video I will list what you guys commented, and if you guys have any more suggestions or opinions of what the next Mafia game should have, then make sure to comment below. Here is what we want from Mafia 4 Part 1. Number 1. Vito and Joe reuniting. This YouTube comment says, "I love to see Vito and Joe reuniting." I didn't want to ignore this comment because it got the most likes, so here we are. Vito and Joe reuniting would be awesome. Personally, I would like to see brand new characters in the next Mafia game, but it would be cool if Vito, Joe, and Lincoln made a cameo. It could be similar to Grand Theft Auto 5, where Johnny Klebitz from GTA 4 The Lost and Damned and Michelle from GTA 4 made short cameos. One thing that I like about the Mafia game series is that Vito and Joe have made an appearance in all the Mafia games. From Mafia the City of Lost Heaven, to Mafia 2, to Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, to Mafia 3, and to Mafia Definitive Edition. At the ending of Mafia 3, Joe Barbaro makes a short cameo as Leo Galante's chauffeur. We never see Vito and Joe interact with each other in Mafia 3, which was quite disappointing. Vito believes Joe Barbaro got killed in Chicago and blames himself for Joe's death. Vito Scaletta never finds out the truth about Joe Barbaro in Mafia 3. Realistically, if Leo Galante died, Vito and Joe would both show up at his funeral, and then they would discover the truth. They would realize that old man Galante separated the two for almost 2 decades because of the mess they caused in Empire Bay, starting a war between the Chinese, Vinci family, and Falcone family. Leo Galante knows Vito and Joe cause a lot of trouble when together, so that's why he separated the two. There are a lot of approaches that Hangar 13 could take if they decided to reunite Vito and Joe in the next Mafia game. However, if the next Mafia game is a sequel to Mafia 3 and features a brand new cast, a cameo of Vito, Joe, and Lincoln would be more than enough to please Mafia game fans. Number 2. 1980s Los Angeles or Las Vegas. This YouTube comment says, "Imagine Mafia 4 in 80s Los Angeles or Las Vegas. That would be awesome." I agree, a Mafia game set in 1970s to 1980s Las Vegas would be awesome. In Mafia Definitive Edition, there is a secret card collectible of Louis Romeo. This card in particular is interesting because it is the very first time in the Mafia game series where the fictional city Los Andes is mentioned. Los Andes is a combination of Los Angeles and Las Vegas. If we take a look at the back of the secret card, it says the following: Louis Romeo, the gangs of Los Andes, gambling dens, high society, Hollywood, prime targets for the mob. 10 years ago, the families on the East Coast needed eyes in the West, and since then, Louis Romeo has overseen it all. He commands the unions, launders the money, and blackmails the studio bosses, and he does so in plain sight with a leading lady on each arm. Look behind the smiles on the red carpet and you can see the fear. Wow, what a collectible. Imagine playing as Louis Romeo in Mafia 4 set in Los Andes. A Mafia game set in the 1970s to 1980s Las Vegas would be amazing. The story could be similar to the 1995 Martin Scorsese movie Casino, featuring Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Sharon Stone. We gamers really need a proper Las Vegas open-world crime game. Scarface Empire was an open-world crime game that took place in the 1980s Las Vegas for Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. Unfortunately, this amazing game got cancelled. And Saints Row 2022 takes place in a fictionalized Las Vegas location. However, you can't go inside any of the casinos. The developers completely wasted this game's location. After the release of Mafia 3 and its DLCs, in 2017, Hangar 13 had a choice to develop Mafia 4 set in 1970s Las Vegas or develop a brand new game franchise. Hangar 13, with Hayden Blackman in charge, chose to pursue the new IP, which eventually became Voltron, an online co-op game. However, Voltron got cancelled in November 2021, and Hangar 13 had lost $53 million that was spent developing the game. And in May 2022, Hayden Blackman stepped down as president of Hangar 13 Games and was replaced by Nick Baines. This means if Hayden Blackman in 2017 made a different decision, we would have had a Mafia 4 set in 1970s Las Vegas by now. Number 3. Salieri prequel or Mafia 2 prequel. This YouTube comment says, I hope for Las Vegas, but I am open for a Salieri prequel or a Mafia 2 prequel about the Moretti War. This is another great suggestion. In my opinion, the next Mafia game will not be a sequel, nor will it be set in 1980s Las Vegas, because Hangar 13 spent $53 million developing Voltron, the online co-op game which got cancelled. So now Hangar 13's budget for the next Mafia game is quite tight. The most efficient way for Hangar 13 to spend their money is to create a prequel Mafia game. Think about it, if Mafia 4 was set in 1980s Las Vegas, the music licenses alone would be in the millions. Mafia Definitive Edition takes place in the 1930s and its radio selection is quite abysmal. That's why a prequel to Mafia Definitive Edition or a prequel to Mafia 2 is more realistic. Since the next Mafia game is most likely a prequel, there are 3 possibilities. Number 1, a prequel to Mafia Definitive Edition where you play as a young Ennio Salieri and join the Papone crime family and work alongside a young Marco Morello in Lost Heaven. They could literally reuse the same game map from Mafia Definitive Edition. Number 2, a Mafia 2 prequel where you play as a young Carlo Falcone who betrays his boss Tommaso Moretti by blowing him up via a car bomb in Empire Bay. Number 3, a prequel to Mafia Definitive Edition, but it takes place in Italy with brand new characters. In May 2022, Kotaku reported the Brighton, United Kingdom Hangar 13 office is currently leading early production on a new Mafia prequel that will be built on Unreal Engine 5. The game is currently planned to take place in Italy. Unless things have changed since May 2022 at Hangar 13, the next Mafia game will be taking place in Italy and it will be a prequel. Number 4, online multiplayer. This YouTube comment says online multiplayer. Now, online multiplayer would be awesome to see in a Mafia game. Imagine playing Mafia with your friend. When most people think of online multiplayer, they immediately think of Grand Theft Auto Online with microtransactions. However, I think it would be more realistic for Hangar 13 to implement co-op online mode like the Saints Row games. The Mafia games are very linear story-wise, so it would be easier to implement co-op story mode and co-op free roam. 2K Games is a very stingy publisher. They don't like to spend a lot of money. I mean, they outsourced Mafia 2 Definitive Edition to D3T Limited, and that game still has bugs to this day. 2K Games is such a cheap publisher that Mafia 3 Definitive Edition is literally Mafia 3 but has all the DLCs. 2K Games is so cheap that they didn't release a PS5 or Xbox Series X version of the Mafia trilogy. 2K Games has shown time and time again that they don't care about the quality of their games. They refuse to allocate their resources to fix bugs in previously released titles, so I just can't see them hosting individual online servers with 30 people. Realistically, if the next Mafia game has an online mode, it would be a co-op mode similar to the Saints Row games. And Hangar 13 has prior experience with co-op multiplayer due to their endeavors with the Voltron, the cancelled $53 million project. In conclusion, I'm happy that 2K Games has confirmed a new Mafia game is currently in development, and I'm optimistic that Hangar 13's new president, Nick Baines, will not let us Mafia Game fans down. I hope you wise guys enjoyed this Mafia 4 What We Want video, and if you want to be featured in my next video, Mafia 4 What We Want Part 2, then make sure to comment below what you want to see in the next Mafia game. If your comment gets a lot of likes and positive feedback and the community agrees with you overall, then I will feature your suggestion in my next Mafia video. And as always, thank you for watching, and make sure to share this video to fellow Mafia Game fans.
Lake Park, scene dark, silvery moon is shining through the trees. Cast to me you, sound of kisses floating on the breeze. Act 1,